Hello and welcome to my channel, and we have another author interview here. We have got William Joseph Roberts. This is our first take, trust me. He has just released a new book called Wildcats, which has gone really high up in the rankings. I can't remember what it was he did say. He is now going to tell you all that stuff, and then after that we're going to talk about other books that he's done and then how he got into writing, so on and so forth. Go!
All right, so like he said, my name is William Joseph Roberts. I am an author of sci-fi, fantasy, horror, and pretty much anything else the evil mind squirrels demand of me. My latest book, Wildcat Foreclosure of a Dream, dropped on this past Friday. It's part of the Fallen World series by Christopher Woods, and it takes place in southern West Virginia 3 years after the bombs fall, after World War III happens. I don't know how familiar you or your viewers are with the Fallout franchise. Basically, the Fallen World is Fallout.
Right.
It's similar in so many ways, but it's post-apocalyptic. The corporate wars happen, the nukes flew, and then now everybody's just trying to survive.
Oh dear.
What was it? The editor, she was a avid fan of Fallout 76, and she was sending me messages like, how much Fallout 76 have you played? Like, I haven't, but I grew up in southern West Virginia. There it is.
There it is. I'm being technical now.
I grew up in southern West Virginia, so what she thought was related to the game was I've actually been to these places. I grew up in these areas, and that the church on the front of that cover, I grew up in that church. And the artist was able to bring it to the cover and do an amazing job with it. Unfortunately, the church is about to fall in now. It's old and crumbling, but the artist did an amazing job with it.
So tell us some more about it. Go into some more detail. What can you tell us without spoiling it?
It's an adventure story. Okay. I mean, it is not mill sci-fi at all. I tend to like the adventure quest type stories. And our hero, Leander Calloway Toller, finds out that the people that took his family just after the fall are back in the area. So he rounds up a couple of friends and treks across the wasteland of southern West Virginia to find them, hoping that he can find his family. There's a lot of sidetracks in there. There's a lot of exploration that any Fallout fan is going to enjoy. Lots of mutant creatures tossed in for good measure. I'm actually currently working on a parallel prequel to it before I go to the next Wildcat book. I can't say much about that one yet because I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but that one is tentatively titled Dogs of War.
Cool.
And you're going to get to see a little bit of Obsidian Corporation just before it disappears from the face of the earth.
Oh. Doesn't sound too good, does it?
Now, with all this Fallen World stuff, my buddy Chris Woods, we really got together and started talking about 2 years ago at a LibertyCon Christmas party. And we were sitting downstairs at Rich and Tish's Growler's lake house. It was like right after Christmas dinner, and we were just shooting the shit. And he gave me one of his books. He signed it. It just went up on the shelf. I didn't get time to read it. And the audio for it had came out. So I was like, okay, cool. I work in engineering, and I devour audiobooks. So I picked up a copy of it. I started listening. I made it about halfway through chapter 1 before I'm sending him messages. Hey, how much Fallout 4 have you played? Because the way he had wrote the story, I could imagine being in Boston, walking down streets, and there's raiders over here, there's raiders over there. And it was a total unnamed metropolis that he's running through. But to me, having been a fan and played lots of hours of Fallout 4 myself, it's like, how much have you played? And he's like, oh, about 1,000 hours. Well, that explains a lot. And I
see where you got your inspiration from.
I immediately fell in love with it. And the funny thing is, my buddy Benjamin Tyler Smith, me and him had just been talking about writing like in Fallout and maybe reaching out to the people at, at Bethesda to write in Fallout. And then we end up finding out about this, and both of us are now writing in the Fallout world. So it's like, it's a perfect getaway from it. I don't know. There's I was going to say something about post-apocalyptic that I just love is the what ifs, because you can sit there and think of all these possible what ifs. If this happens, if that happens, what if they have that or that? And you can go on so many tangents with that. So, it's an endless supply of writing fodder.
No, I get that. So, how are you planning a second book to the Wildcats? Have you planned a second book? Are you wanting to do?
I've already got books 2 and 3 planned. Co-authored book 4 with Benjamin Tyler Smith. I'm working on, like I said, the parallel prequel sort of to Wildcat right now. I'm all in on this one because I love the genre. I love this universe that Woods has created.
No, it's cool. That sounds very, very good. So what else have you done then? What other books? Let's run through the list. Top to bottom. Your personal favorite.
Well, okay. My first one that came out last year this time.
I was just looking at that on Amazon, actually.
Space opera. Oh, God. If you want chaos in a box, this is for you. It's definitely got lots of adult humor. It has got a lot of stupid humor in it, but it is straight up space opera and more adventure and exploration. My second novel, actually put out by Canon, which the series is part of the JTF 13 series, but Widowmakers was the first novel in the series, and Three Ravens Publishing, which I'm part of, has just picked up the JTF series from Canon because John wants more middle sci-fi. This is more action adventure, so we're going to take this on from him. Other than that, Wildcat is actually my third novel. My fourth novel is a co-authored with Christopher Woods called Smuggler's Run, and it's supposed to be dropping January 22nd. If you want a train wreck of idiocy, that's probably about the best way to describe it. Take the Dukes of Hazzard, cross it with Spaceballs, and a little bit of Ice Pirates jammed in there, and you've got Rip and Van as they're going across the galaxy. It's all part of it. It's in the salvage system universe that Kevin Steverson put together. John said okay. But that's going to be out January 22nd. Other than that, I've honestly been doing a lot of work for Three Ravens Publishing this year, just trying to build the press up and make it into something wholesome. Myself, Benjamin Tyler Smith, and RJ Layden, we put this together as our own publishing company for our stuff. But at the same time, we're trying to help others to get a leg up and get stuff out there. Because, you know what, the big dogs, they want what they want. That doesn't mean the stories that they're turning away aren't good stories.
Yes. They just go with what they think is safe.
Right. And, we're working on a minimal budget, but we're still getting some good artwork. We're still promoting as best as we can, mostly me pushing stuff out there to the ethers. But we're still doing it. And we're helping people to take that step and get their stuff out there. And one of those things that I did this year, if you like Conan or anything by Robert Howard, this is a Conan style series of my own. More to come on this. I'm going to put some more out on this next year. But last year at Next Chapter Con, which was a local little writers convention, a few of my author buddies that were in my previous writing group were there, and they kept asking me when I'm going to start the writing group back up. And I don't want to. I really don't want to, because I spun my wheels for so long with the Chattanooga Writers Guild and the writing groups here because they're critique groups. Everybody submits their things every month. Everybody looks over it. It's like part of a chapter, so many pages, whatever. But nobody's progressing. They're doing the same thing over and over. And I got so tired of it. And I finally decided, it's like, fine, we're going to do a writing group. But we're not going to do a critique group. We're going to do a self-help group.
Yes.
And we're going to produce product. I've got a publishing company that I'm running. Well, why not? Let's publish some stuff. So that's what we did. And we started out with doing 4 flash fiction collections a year and 1 anthology, which we're adding a little more to it here and there depending on holidays, and we just get a bug up our ass and want to do something different. But we've got a Christmas one. We've got one about conventions. We've done a little flash fiction. Yeah, that glare is horrible, isn't it? Done a little flash fiction one that's fantasy. There's a post-apocalyptic one. This one actually has Daniel Humphreys as our guest author in it. This one ended up with Rob Howe, since he's a fantasy author, as our guest author. The pros and cons, John Drake, who is actually from Liverpool. He lives over in
England.
No, he's over in Ireland right now. Dublin. He lives over in Dublin now. But he was our guest author on that one. And, well, we've done a full anthology that took forever to edit, but it was worthwhile. I mean, that thing, it's got some meat to it. But other than that, my year has been filled with book after book after book. And see, John Drake, good. Hey, if you like Douglas Adams, look up John Drake. Let's see, that Benjamin Tyler Smith, Necropolis, that's some funny, I guess dark fantasy, urban fantasy is where it falls in. But it's good, it's funny. We had an allegory that was really damn good. It's a play on the Aztec creation myth, all taking place in a prison.
Oh.
It's surprisingly good. You wouldn't think an allegory would be, but it was. And then, let's see. A couple others. We got poetry and paranormal romance. And then more John Drake stuff. So, this year's been busy.
Sounds it.
I've been working my ass off between writing 4 novels, publishing this stuff, and doing other short stories for all these other anthologies and stuff like that. So I've been busy.
Well, we're going to talk about that when we talk about how you got into writing. I would like to know about how you structure your everything, how you plan out and how you structure and do all that stuff. It'll be quite interesting for people who don't know, through someone who's obviously got a load on their plate, and obviously you've got children and grandchildren, and you obviously still spend some sort of time with them. So
yeah, oh, absolutely.
Right, okay, so we're going to rewind, which I told you before. Never got that. Now that Flux Runners. Tell me about this Flux Runners, because I've still got it up here. Tell me a little bit of interesting stuff about that, and then we'll sort of talk a little bit about a few top pick books, and then we'll then get on to some of the other subjects. Okay.
Well, Flux Runners has a heavy influence from a video game from the 80s called Starflight.
Firefly, yep.
No, Starflight.
Starflight, Firefly, sorry.
It has influence from Firefly for sure, because I wanted to have that wholesome family type crew, even though they are absolutely dysfunctional to the point of hurting each other whenever they get a chance. Just because.
My father's side.
But at the same time, you mess with any of them, they're going to cut your head off. Yeah, because they're a tight-knit family. They work together. But write down Starflight on your list there here in a minute. So I got something to talk about on that one, because that's some good news too.
Starfly, you said?
Starflight.
Oh, flight. Sorry.
Okay. But Flux Runners starts out with the crew of the Betty getting hamstringed into doing a job for the government. They're low key enough.
It never works out when you have to work for the government.
Oh no, they're low key enough that they can be able to pull it off. And they've got the skills among the crew, but also the director of the Independent Alliance, he knows what the owner of the company, and she owes him a favor. So they end up taking off to do the mission, which goes completely sideways, and they find themselves on the other side of the galaxy. So from there, it's a matter of survival. Can they get back home? Then they start meeting aliens and having their first contacts that go horribly wrong from the get-go. When they're getting chased out of a alien space station, it's not exactly the best of situations, but in the end, it turns out good, and they start working on a colony. One of the main themes is independence from tyranny.
Right.
Because at this point, when all this happens, the Earth is pretty much ruled. Well, Earth and Moon are pretty much ruled by the Independent Alliance, who kind of took the role of the UN after everything went to hell in a handbasket. Was it like 2030? I think is when I set that up, and it actually takes place about 200 years beyond where we're at right now, because everything has to recover, and then everything starts to build back up. You have the North American Union. There's Brazil. There's I think I named it the Great British Empire. They take over a swath, and then you got Australia takes a swath, and because they don't get touched. Russia just completely gets annihilated in all the mix. China gets nuked, but large powers take over large swaths of land and start doing their thing. But ultimately, all power and control end up coming in the form of the Independent Alliance, who have orbital stations that have, I guess, rods of God. They can orbital bombard anywhere on the planet that they want, so everybody kind of listens and does what they're told. So it's a fun little chaotic adventure with a crew of degenerates that are a dysfunctional family.
Who wants squeaky clean, fun people? No, you just want people who have messed up.
Right, and they make do with what they got. They try to get by, but one of the funny things, I'm sure I made one of the FBI lists doing research on that thing, because I was trying to figure out a price that would get charged for fuel, and they're using a fusion reactor, but it's got to be fueled. So more or less like a warp drive. But how are they getting fueled? And we could use deuterium or was it tritium, but none of that was available. So it's like, okay, Cl4, but they had fueled up with ammonium nitrate beforehand because that was the cheapest stuff they could get on Luna Station. But you don't want to take Cl4 and mix it with ammonium nitrate, because then you basically get nerve gas. When you mix chlorine and ammonia, it don't work well. So they've got to purge the whole system. And so I go looking bulk prices for ammonium nitrate and chlorine, and after the fact, I'm like, oh crap, I just got pegged. I had to.
Some agent's just like doing his own thing, and then beep, 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 pops up. It's like, why is he looking at that? He then goes on your webcam and sees you, thinking, he looks suspicious.
But there's more than a few authors I know that have that happen. It's like, hey, what about this? And, oh crap.
Well, most authors, they do. If they want to do something fairly realistic, you got to do the research, and doing the research,
And that's one thing for anybody out there that's wanting to write, and it's backed up over and over again by other authors, even like the essays by L. Ron Hubbard. I've been going through some of the Writers of the Future courses that they got. Even back in the 30s, he was saying, go get your hands dirty. Go research, not just what you can get from a book, because it makes the difference. For Widowmakers. Where are you? There. For Widowmaker. I actually went down to the Warner Robins Air Force Base Museum. They let me turn wrenches on a B-17. And then I was climbing inside of a B-25 and in an A-26, just looking around, getting a feel for everything. And it was amazing. But, you can't write that in as well if you haven't been there and seen it and touched it and smelled it,
Yes.
It's a whole other thing.
Well, those few extra details of knowing how it smells and how it actually feels, when you put that in the book, it translates very well to the readers. You just say, you jumped in this plane and off you went. It'd be like, but if you jumped in, you smelled this specific sort of greasy, oily smell or whatever, you know what I mean? It makes a book better. Stuff like that really does.
Right. And, well, for me, the bonus to that is I'm an aircraft mechanic. I worked on F-15s for 10 years in the Air Force, and I love aircraft. So that was even better, the fact that I actually got to go turn wrenches on an antique plane. Not many people get to do that. And all I did was ask the question. So don't be scared to ask, if you need something about railroads or a blacksmith, find one. Ask them, hey, can I come watch? Can I come look at things?
Most people are decent enough, and if you're actually interested for a good cause or good reason, they've got their time. Most people are decent people,
right? And they'll do it. They'll help you out.
Right. Other book. Is there any other books you want to go into a bit more detail about? What's your second? What's another?
Well, Widowmakers, my second one.
Go on then.
The gist of the JTF 13 universe is mythological or paranormal threats on the battlefield. It starts out just a little bit after the Normandy invasion. My character, Grady Sullivan, he's at a forward air base. And I tied in a little bit of my history because my last squadron before I got out of the military was the 2nd Squadron. At the time, during World War II, they were flying P-61s in Normandy during 43 and 44. So I was able to tie my old squadron into it and have my character as part of the second. They were the 2nd Pursuit Squadron at that time.
Nice.
So that was cool. A little personal history tossed in. His aircraft gets destroyed by gremlins, and when they escape, they're put together as just a ragtag JTF team and sent back out to find out what's going on and eliminate the threat. So the rest of the regular army, who aren't orphaned, because these guys are now orphaned from their units. Because we got one survivor off of this. We got a couple of paratroopers that landed and came across them and saved them. There's a Navy pilot that ended up with them. But when they get back to a forward command or one of the rear commands, they're reassigned to go and find out what's going on. So it's this whole other adventure of them setting up shop and trying to track these creatures down to take care of them, because they've destroyed more than a few units. They took out a Panzer Brigade and what was it? I had them take out a train station, a couple other different things that they destroyed. Tied in the crap. I'm right now the first jet aircraft. I don't remember now.
No, I can't remember what it is. I know what you're talking about anyway. People will know what you're talking about.
Yes. First jet fighter.
He's having a look.
The Mr. Schmidt ME-262. I had to look. It'll drive me crazy if I don't. So I included that in there just because it's such an amazing plane, and it's the first jet aircraft. And our guys kind of accidentally take one out.
Accidentally.
Oh yeah, and then I had to throw a couple of stereotypical characters in there. I got the British officer who's a complete ass. I've got the I got the Irish infantryman who's just batshit crazy. Got a couple of French ladies. I don't know, just stereotypical World War II type, good old stories, just cause it's fun.
Well, if it's not fun, people won't read it, will they?
Right, exactly, and that's one thing. Like, I like good, fun adventure stories, like the old Alan Quartermain stories, and Indiana Jones. It's good adventure stories. It's not the same. Every 5 minutes is just a firefight. You actually have character building, and they're trying to figure out puzzles and this and that. I'm honestly to the point I'm getting tired of military sci-fi because it's everywhere. There's so much of it, and that's one thing I'm trying to get away from.
I think the problem with that, what you're saying, military sci-fi, is because it's not so mainstream with the big publishers. People have got to be independent doing it. To make good money, they have to keep pumping out books.
Yeah.
So then they're just flooding the market, and then the screening on some books, because there's definitely a big quality difference between some books. Like I read quite a lot. I read and listen to about 4 books a month, and sometimes even more than that, depending. If I'm working, then I can then listen to more. And just a lot of books, they're all very flat and the same. And there are some that are much better, and there are some that's so much lower. But because there's so many, it's just flooded.
A lot of them rely more on the firefights. Just almost a constant barrage of firefights for most of their meat. Well, one mill sci-fi that I did love was Matthew Riley. He's out of Australia. The Shane Schofield series. That is a damn good series. Anybody that has ever cared for, it's more action thriller than mill sci-fi, but they're borderline with some of the stuff they're doing. Anybody that likes that kind of stuff, even the James Bond fans, they will love that.
I don't like jumping around a lot. I was reading or listening to some books, and like a ship battle's going on, and it's just like it's done and dusted real quick, and then like they're over here fighting, and then these ones it's just real quick, and everyone just moves on, and then like the fighting's done. It's like, I like a bit more detail, just to flesh out the battles more, like whether it's ground or space. So something which I spoke about, like Anthony James is, when I was sort of sidetracking, one of these ones, he puts in a bit more detail with his fight. Like every when he's talking about the shots, he explains the shots they go down, his squad's talking, or when they're in space, you hear what the characters are doing and how they're dealing with the situation as a crew. And then the actual detail in the battles, it's not just like torpedo for whatever hit, they're out. It's like they hit, it done damage, it didn't do damage, and it explains a little bit more into the damage, so like you get a more grander picture of what's going on.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not just photon torpedo struck and that's that ship down or damaged that ship. It's like it sort of explains that they hit and it actually punctured through, and just a little bit more detail in the actual action makes that action stand out better than just if every book's the same, because it's just action, it's boring action and then interesting action, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. And I've got fight scenes, and I've got a couple of detailed fight scenes in Wildcat, and I probably made a couple of people at the gym think I was crazy, because I was working out one day, and I'm sitting there going through the steps of, okay, he does this, because my character rushes in on this group and just starts hacking away at him. And I'm working through the moves in my head, and it's like, okay, draw a gun, blow guy's head off, stab this one as he's running through, and people just staring at me. But
what's he doing? What's that man doing?
It's a little bitty section of the book, and I've got a couple of decent fight scenes, but it's not taking up a huge chunk of the book.
Yeah,
it's mostly about the characters and the shit that they're dealing with, especially the main character, Leander. With dude's got some mental problems, but he's been through a lot of crap.
That's good. It makes that character more interesting. You've got more depth to him. He's not just a bland character.
Yeah, and there are honestly scenes in there that I can't read unless I absolutely have no choice, because like method actors, I can understand why they have issues. Heath Ledger, everybody says that the Joker's what did him in. And I can understand that because in writing some of those scenes with Leander and some of those scenes of loss, I put myself into his place and tried to picture being there with that loss. And I mean, I typed out some of those scenes, just bawling my eyes out, just snot running down. But apparently it did well because people are loving it. I've gotten more than a few comments about it being gritty and real. No punches pulled. So I guess I did my job right.
Good. Was bad, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was at number 9 this morning, so hopefully I can get on up there to number 1. I would love to see that orange tag on there.
Well, hopefully. Keep talking and doing all your stuff, and we'll get this video out, and people might be like, "Oh, I'll buy that book." Yeah. No, we'll do that. So let's talk about how you got into writing. Then, what brought you into this fabulous world? Because obviously you was in the Air Force. So, what happened?
Well, I've honestly been a writer, artist for as long as I can remember. And I've got a troll behind me.
I just saw.
Go. I'm doing an interview, dude. Go away.
That's why I put this green screen up. So if they do open the door, they can't poke their head through. I had that in one video. The kid, it was late. He's supposed to be in bed, he's been in bed for 3 hours, but he woke up and he just saw the door open. He went, "Dad!" I'm like, "Oh, 1 second." That's Chris Kennedy, actually, I was talking to at the time. Right in the middle of the interview. And I couldn't remember what I was talking about when I come back. And anyway, so writing. How'd you get into it? What happened?
So I've been an artist and a writer for as long as I can remember. Just always thinking outside the box and trying to expand on something that just spurs an idea. Even if one of the things in grade school, I remember there was this, it was a little art sketchbook that was in the school library. It helped you to draw cars. Well, I took that and started expanding on it and started making spaceships. With it was like a 3D boxy car. Okay, well, we'll add a wing here and we'll do this. And, so I've always been the creative type. Through grade school, junior high, high school, I was writing, but nobody could help guide me in how to go about writing and how to go about publishing or anything like that. Nobody knew. Even in high school, my literature and English teachers, they didn't know. So, years passed, went in the military. I was still jotting ideas down here and there, got into D&D. So I was writing gaming stories for people to play out because I ended up being a DM. So that helped a little bit with the creativity part of it. Ended up as running a podcast for a while on a previous pen name, thinking that would be one way to help promote myself, but I was more focused on that than I was writing. But everything I learned from doing that is paying off now.
Yes.
Because I have learned to whore on the internet beyond belief.
Well, if you're not doing it, someone else is going to. So,
well, and you have to be. You really do. You cannot be a complete introvert unless you have a really good agent or somebody that's going to do it for you.
And that will cost.
Yeah. Or if you get with one of the big publishers, they don't even promote you. You have to do your own promotion stuff. The one thing with being indie is you get to pick your own artwork. You get to pick where you're going, and promoting and stuff like that, versus some of the stuff they tell you to do. But just before I got out of the military, I actually started creating a fantasy world. My ex-wife, she helped me along with that. She gave me a binder, just a simple 3-ring binder, and I started filling it. And from there, my fantasy world ended up getting born and created. And I can hopefully this year get the first story in that out, because never password protect on read and write any of your files. Because if you're that paranoid, Don't worry, nobody's going to steal it. And if they do, that's okay. They've stolen everybody else's stuff. So don't password protect it. I lost my stuff for almost 20 years because of it.
Oh, well, you could get debuffed.
Right, exactly. And we just recently recovered the file, so that first novel is getting produced.
Make sure you got to put it on a shared device, like on. So I've got Word, and my stuff that I'm doing, it's all on. All my computers are all linked to my phone and iPad. So if I lose one, it's all there.
But in the process of all that, ended up getting remarried, going to college, got a job, we started having kids, and I was still trying to write and doing these little short stories and figure out what I was doing. And I got hooked up with the Chattanooga Writers Guild here in Chattanooga. And I started making a few more contacts and learning a little bit. It wasn't until about 3 years ago when I went to LibertyCon that I really figured out how to go about the business of writing, what publishers are expecting, what kind of stuff that they want, all the way down to how to promote yourself. And at that first LibertyCon, I got invited to an anthology, and I got it sitting over my shelf over there. It was Shada Toys through Copper Dog Publishing. And from there, my second convention, I left with 2 novel deals. Yeah, I think, yeah. No. My third LibertyCon convention, I left with 3 novel deals. And I've already completed 2 of them, and the third one started, but I'm waiting on the co-author to do his thing. Really, it came down to a lot of different things clicking. One major one was when I was doing my podcast thing. I was interviewing authors, musicians, things like that, trying to help them, give them a little place to promote themselves. And I got Ben Bova on, who, if you don't know, is the grandfather of modern day science fiction. He's actually one of them that brought on Orson Scott Card. And in that interview, he told me, if you're going to write, then do it. Set your time and sit down and write. Don't talk about it, just do it. And I tried for a while to get there, and it just, life and everything, it didn't quite happen. But after that first LibertyCon, and I think I've narrowed down one of the big switches that got flipped for me, was that I was given permission, even though my better half, who saved everything that I had wrote, because I was about ready to burn everything, because just life and time, and it wasn't happening, and I was ready to burn everything. And between her and friends, nobody, well, they had said the exact same thing, but it never clicked. But we went to LibertyCon, the first LibertyCon, LibertyCon XXX. It was the last year that they had it at the Chattanooga Choo Choo. And I did this writer's workshop with Charity Ayers, who we now published one of her books, or will republish one of her books. And in that little workshop, an hour-long workshop, she basically gave me permission to write and to create stuff and create content. And I did. And I wrote a little scene with my character Braxton Hicks, and it ended up in that Shada Toys anthology. But from there, it's been nonstop. I mean, I finished my first novel and published it last November. Widowmakers came out in February. Wildcat just came out. You've seen the stack of books that we published through Three Ravens that we've done editing and everything else on. Smuggler's Run comes out in January. I'm working on another one. I mean, it's balls to the wall nonstop now. And my ultimate goal is to write and publish full time, because I love it. It's a passion to me. And I don't know how you are when you get in the zone on something that you love. It's like a high, man. It's like you're drunk. You get that buzz going on, and you're just flowing with it. And that thing, it's addicting. You get in there and you just want to stay there because you're visiting with your friends, man. It's like you're having a good old time. You're talking to them, putting down all this stuff.
So how do you go about managing your day? And because you work still, don't you?
Yeah.
So
I've got the day job still.
Yes. How do you structure?
I get up at 0400 every morning.
What time do you go to bed?
I don't know, 10 or 11 or something. I don't know. Just it depends on the night. Some nights are earlier than others, but 0400, the alarm goes off. I get up. I get the coffee going. Check messages. Here lately, I've been getting more publishing stuff taken care of and emails in the mornings than writing. I need to flip that around a little bit, so I get words on paper. But we just went back to 40-hour work week, so clocking in at 7, clock out about 4. Family stuff, dinner, chores, things like that in the evenings. And if I can squeeze in a little bit more writing time or something, then I do.
I found that most people, paint in the brush, but like most people when it comes to writing, they're more productive in the morning. And I've like heard and spoke to people that say like you get up that bit earlier, do it in the morning when you've got that fresh. Because at the end of the day after work and you've done all your family stuff, you're not as much going to have much drive to then want to start churning out stuff if you had already done your day's work.
Your mind's already burnt out at that point sometimes.
Yes.
Now one thing that I have started doing, and it has helped on Widowmakers, Smuggler's Run, and on Wildcat. Oh wait, no, not on Wildcat. On this new one, Dogs of War. I disappeared for a weekend. Widowmakers, I put 23,000 words down in that weekend. I disappeared to a friend's lake property and fished and caught a bunch of catfish and ate well and wrote. Smuggler's Run, me and Chris Woods, we put about 22,000 words down that weekend. We disappeared. Got almost that much on Dogs of War a few weekends ago when I started, but I spent a day and a half rewriting my notes because apparently whether it was Google Docs or Microsoft Word, it didn't save someplace. So I spent a day and a half trying to remember what I had jotted down. And see, I don't sit down start to finish and write out notes. I'll jot a note down and I'll keep a Word document open or something like that. And I'll come back to it and add another one later and another later, and something will pop in my head and I'll come back, put it in there, and I'll build them up before I get around to actually writing the story. So I've got all these little bullet points of, okay, that's going to happen and that's going to happen and that would be cool. And then I just figure out where to fit them in as I'm writing.
Smart. Best thing to do. I've got a little Word document. I just call it ideas. So I'll be laying in bed and everything I do, I just think about at night. And I think it's cool, or what I think is a cool idea. So I'm like, find my phone, go onto my idea thing. Just what it is, whether I remember what the idea is in the morning from what code I put down. Because like drunk or tired eyes, like this does this technology does that, and then I just put my phone back down, and then go back to me my thinking state. I've just got lists and lists of all these cool ideas that whether they're cool or not, I don't know. Yeah, I think they're interesting.
You got to have a slush pile. You never know when something's going to come in handy. And like Dogs of War, 3 ideas from my slush pile are actually getting incorporated into it and becoming main components of it. It just all fed together just the right way.
No, that's it. It's just the way to go. Now, do you want to quickly talk about your publishing? Because you keep telling me about your publishing thing, Bob.
Oh, 3 Ravens?
Yeah. Do you want to talk about what you do with that and who you do or have under you or anything? Because I have no idea. So
it's 3ravenspublishing.com. With the exception of smut, we're pretty much publishing anything. We have one one New Zealander who has submitted a Mill Sci-Fi Invasion series to us that we're looking at. We've got Flux Runners. We're getting a JTF series over now. I have a lit RPG, a paranormal urban fantasy series that we're going to be kicking off this year coming. We've got 3 or 4 series that we're going to be kicking off in 2021. We've got submission guidelines up on the webpage. I update it as much as I possibly can. But one of the things of doing a lot of it yourself is time. Time management is evil, but can be done. I mean, I'm in essence doing 3 jobs, and I have been for over a year now, I think, or about a year. Starflight. That was one of the things I wanted to talk about with 3 Ravens.
I've got it here.
Anybody that has ever played Starflight, if you haven't, look it up. It is on GOG right now, GOG.com. It was like $150, and I got Starflight 1 and 2. It's the first open sandbox space opera ever. Produced by Binary Systems back in the 80s. The original creator was Greg Johnson. Well, see, I got this wild, hairy-ass question in the back of my head. It's like, well, why hasn't anybody wrote anything in this? I've heard there was some fanfic out there, but nobody's wrote anything. So I tracked them down. And now 3 Ravens Publishing has the exclusive contract to create content in the Starflight universe. And our first anthology is going to be coming out next year called Starflight Tales from the Starport Lounge. I've already contracted Robert Silverberg for this. So one of his stories is going to be in the anthology. Michael J. Allen's already agreed to do a story. I've got Christopher Woods, myself, Benjamin Tyler Smith, R.J. Layden, Charity Ayers. Trying to think of who else. I've got a whole slew of people already on the list that are in on it. But we're going to kick this thing off and have a lit RPG space opera under 3 Ravens. And I'm hoping that's going to be one of the game changers for us, because the Starflight community is still alive. They recently, in the last year, had tried to do a FIG fundraiser for a Starflight 3 game. The fundraiser had gotten 460,000 of 500,000 pledged. It failed. It's like Kickstarter. You either get all or none. It failed, but the fact that a 30-year-old, what we thought was a dead video game, had $460,000 pledged.
I'm just looking at it now. We're talking about trying to do like a remake and stuff like that. The community's still there. If it's still active,
it is. And I've been around and I've been poking at it. And I've already started up a Starflight the series Facebook page. So if you want to join that to see what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm also posting on all the other Starflight pages when I get news for it.
We'll put that link in the description as well, in case anyone's interested.
Okay. And I'll get that for you as soon as I remember. But we're going to try to do this thing justice and bring it to life, because a video game in the 80s could only go so far. Well, I already know for a fact that I've got a story about an archaeologist. I got one about a smuggler. I've got another about a pirate, all set in this universe, and they're all doing their thing. So, we're going to be fleshing out this universe, and, I've already been on the phone with Greg, the creator, and he loves it. If this goes well and we do it right, we're going to get a new game. Nice. And now the best part is the authors that I have on board, with the exception of like 2, they've all played the game. They're all fans of the game. The game inspired them. So, that's epic on our level as being fans of the game. We get to write in something that we loved. So, that it's a bonus for us.
Goals. Achieving goals.
Exactly. Because I had this crazy question. Who'd have thought that now we got a contract and I get to create content in this universe? That's so amazing. I never thought that we'd pick up the JTF series. We just recently picked up 2 titles from J.F. Posthumous that were delisted by the previous publisher that are wonderful books. I like the stories. We're going to possibly be opening that up to an open universe for others to come play in the sandbox. And that's one of the things that we're going to be doing a lot of is we're going to take a lot of these story universes and open it up to other authors so they can come play in it if they want. And, they may not be a top tier author, but it might give them their start. So they can
if you've already got the world building done, they can go in. They don't have to worry about so much of that stress because they've already got all that there. They can then just add their touch and make their story, tweak or do whatever, as long as it's within your laws. But they haven't got to deal with the whole trying to work everything out before they even do it.
Right.
Which is a big thing.
That's just like with Wildcat. The world has already been built by Christopher Woods. Well, for the most part, the world, the base rules of the world have been created. Now, for my little section of the world, I got to create the rules because nobody's done anything in Appalachia yet. So that was all mine. So I got to create canon there. Bill Webb invited me to become part of the Last Brigade series, which is another post-apocalyptic universe. And it's mostly mill sci-fi. And I kept trying to wrap my head, okay, how am I going to write something in mill sci-fi when I don't write mill sci-fi? And we were actually on the video call for about 3 hours, just chatting back and forth. And it finally hit me. It's like, I don't have to write mill sci-fi. Nobody's writing in the Wasteland years. So he's like, oh, just write in that. Okay. So I'm creating virgin canon in that for him. And I'm happy because that's the kind of stuff that I like. But JTF, we got that set up to where anybody else can come play in it. My Flux Runners universe, I got to finish the next book, and then I'm going to be inviting other authors on board to come play in that universe because I'm going to kick off a whole other series with that. It makes it easy to help somebody take a step up. They don't have to try their first run at creating a universe. You get the help of a group. Many hands make light work. Even though JTF's getting passed off to us from canon, John's already agreed to help with the promotion of it. So it's going to go up in the command post. It's going to go on his pages, and that's going to help everybody involved. And that's something we got to do as indies to help each other out, because the big guys, they're going to be trucking on just like they always have been.
Yes.
Well, us little guys, we got to do what we can to get our stuff out there. And the biggest thing with that is word of mouth. You got all these author friends. You see something new that just came out of theirs, share it. It takes you 2 seconds to say a word about it. It gets it out to more people, so that the potential is exponentially growing if other people share it for them. And that's how you can help out the poor starving artists by just a click.
Yep.
The next step is go buy the book and leave a review. Absolutely, leave reviews. They matter.
Reviews are the big thing. I see a lot of people saying, even if it's a bad review, leave a review so people know where to change what.
I have a 2-star review on Flux Runners, but the lady sold the book. I mean, it was like not what I expected, or let's see. Let me see here. She basically said exactly what the book was. Where are you? Yeah, here we go. Bunch of characters who are very similar emotionally. There is a lot of arguing, many exclamation points. All the arguing gets tedious. I suppose it's meant to be zany comic relief, but it was too much for me. The humor was Beavis and Butthead style, and the sex tended towards the comic but perverse sort. So juvenile humor, not a kid's book. That said, I finished it. I would have liked it more if the characters were not all the same. Well, they're all damaged. And it was meant to be tongue-in-cheek. I mean, a lot of tongue-in-cheek comedy, slapstick. So, that pretty much sells the book right there, is what it is.
I have noticed that. I've seen I like looking at reviews of books and stuff, and like people like they complain about the book and they give it a bad review, and they're like, I didn't really like it or whatever they say, and then I go on their profile and the books they all read are like not sci-fi or something, or not military sci-fi. So I'm thinking, well, you're not going to like it if all the books that you've given 5 star to are all fantasy or romance.
Right?
Why are you reading this book and then moaning because it's action and people die?
Yeah, exactly. Other than you just got to bug up your ass and wanted to complain about the author for some reason.
Or given a free book. A lot of people get given free book by publishers or people up. You know, they chuck the books out, and someone's like, "Yeah, I'll have it for free." Well, this is horrible. I don't like this book. But if you're not going to like that type of book, it don't matter because you're not going to like that sort of book.
Well, that's the same thing with the audiobooks. You know, you can give away free audio codes for people to go check out stuff. And I don't think we've gotten a bad review yet, but it's bound to happen eventually. Now, there you go. For anybody that watches this, if they want a free ebook or a free audio code of anything we've got on Three Ravens Publishing, send Three Ravens Publishing an email. You can find the email on our page with Unity 151 in the email subject line, and I'll send you a code for something, or I'll send you an ebook.
I've jotted that down so we can sort this out, because I'll put a link in to help people find whatever it is. Okay. Cool. Right. Are you happy? We've had a good chat. We're pretty much on an hour, bar the 5 minutes of what happened right at the beginning that we cut, because this was obviously our first attempt.
What else did you have on your list? Anything else there?
No, I to be honest, that's it. I've got stuff to ask you after, once we've got offline. But other than that, I think we're there.
Cool beans.
Yeah, cool beans, mate. I'm happy. Are you happy?
Absolutely.
Oh, fabulous. I'm glad you're happy. All right, well, we're going to say goodbye. I'm going to put all the way where you can find you on your website, WilliamJosephRoberts.com, and then FreeRavenPublishing.com, and then your Amazon link as well will all be in the thing, and the other stuff we just spoke about. So cool. Right, goodbye. Say goodbye to the people who aren't watching us, but they might be when we
Peace out, y'all.
All right, every time I think it ends, I click end broadcast, and I'm like, oh, it's ended. No, it's not. Then we'll click end broadcast. Sorry. He just we'll start again in a second. He just messaged me going like, "Hey, I've got a few minutes. Shoot me the link." And I was like,
"What the hell? Tell Holmes to piss off."
So I'm just like, "Oh shit!" No, we'll start again. Sorry, I know it's terrible. Fucking, it's all going downhill now.
It's okay.
I'm getting hot as well. I'm gonna take this off.
Wait, is that Yankee getting you all hot and bothered?
No, I've got my heater on because this room hasn't got heating, so I've got one of those little electric heaters next to me, and the room's now fucking sweating, and I've got I can't even see, my camera's gone blurry. Oh, hang on, my camera's gone. I can see now. Okay. Oh, he's fucking messing me back again. Fuck it. I can't. I've got to do this. So, right, let's start again. Cut this all out. We're going to add this to my bloopers, because I never get many bloopers on doing this shit. He's spamming me loads now. He's angry. I'm not even going to look. He's furious.
Wait.
Yeah, you can say something to him, didn't you? Oh, fuck.
I know I caught. There he is.
This is why I like not doing live.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know what's going to happen.
I should really change my top to something that looks a bit more presentable.
Hey, Holmes, fuck off. He's mine. There we go. Message sent.
Right. Cut. We're going to do it again.